So you're in the middle of hiring. You've found a fantastic candidate, but when you get to the paperwork, you see a 9-digit number from the IRS that isn't a social security number. What in the world is it? And what are you supposed to do? Let's get into it.
Okay, so here's the situation. Your best candidate hands you their documents, and on it is an individual taxpayer identification number, or ITIN. I mean, it's got 9 digits, just like a social security number. It's issued by the IRS, so the big question on your mind is, great, can I use this for their I-9?
All right, let's cut right to the chase. The answer is a clear, unambiguous no. An ITIN is not, I repeat, not proof of work authorization. And if you accept it for hiring, you could land in some serious hot water. So now let's dig into the why.
So what exactly is an ITIN? Well, it's a tool created for one agency and one agency only, the IRS. The key phrase here is tax processing number. Its entire purpose, its whole reason for being, is for federal tax reporting. It was made specifically for people who have to file taxes, but for whatever reason can't get a social security number.
And this quote from the National Immigration Law Center really hits the nail on the head. An ITIN is all about paying taxes on money you've earned. It has absolutely nothing to do with giving you the green light to earn that money in the first place. That's the firewall between these two concepts, and it's crucial to remember.
Okay, so if it's not for working, why does this number even exist? You know, understanding where it came from makes its purpose perfectly clear.
Think about it from the IRS's perspective. The law says if you earn wages in the U.S., you've got to pay taxes. So back in the mid-90s, they had a puzzle on their hands. How do we collect taxes from all the people who don't have a social security number? The ITIN was their solution. It was a bridge to let everyone fulfill their tax obligations. And this program has actually changed quite a bit since it first started in 1996. A really big shift happened in 2003 when the IRS started requiring you to file a tax return along with your application. That really cemented its tax-only purpose. Then in 2015, they added a use it or lose it rule, where ITINs expire if they're not used, keeping them tied only to active taxpayers.
So who exactly are the people using these numbers? Well, it's a way more diverse group than you might think.
Now, while undocumented workers are the largest group of users, they're definitely not the only one. ITINs are also used by people who are here legally, like some students on visas who can't work but still need to file taxes. It also covers their families and even foreign investors who might own a rental property here in the States and need to pay taxes on that income.
And this is no small program. Just to give you a sense of the scale, at the end of 2022, there were 5.8 million active ITINs being used. That's a huge number of people participating in the U.S. tax system through this specific channel. But this is where the story gets really interesting. While the government's plan for the ITIN was pretty narrow, its use in the real world has blossomed in some really fascinating, unexpected ways. It's become a tool for way more than just filing taxes.
I mean, can you imagine trying to get by without a bank account or a credit card? It's almost impossible. For many people, the ITIN has become the unofficial key to unlocking the financial world. Banks and credit unions will often accept it to open an account, apply for a car loan, and even build a credit history from scratch.
In fact, this has gotten so common that a lot of financial institutions, especially credit unions, have made it official. They've created specific ITIN lending programs designed for customers who have an ITIN instead of a social security number. They basically saw a community that needed help and built products just for them.
Okay, so that's the bigger picture. But let's bring it all back to that first question and really focus on what you, as an employer, absolutely have to remember. If you only remember one thing from this whole explainer, make it this. There are two completely separate worlds here. On one side, you have the IRS dealing with tax compliance using the ITIN. On the other side, you have the Department of Homeland Security dealing with work authorization using the Social Security number. Different agencies, different forms and totally different purposes. You can't ever mix them up.
This right here is the form we've been talking about, the W-7. Just look at the title. Application for IRS Individual Taxpayer Identification Number. Does it say anything about employment? Anything about work permits? Nope. Because this form and the number it gets you live entirely inside the world of taxes. Period.
So here's exactly how this plays out in your hiring process. You are required by law to complete a Form I-9 for every single new hire. And that form has a very specific list of documents that can prove someone's identity and their authorization to work. And here's the bottom line. The ITIN is not on that list. It's really that simple. All right, to wrap this all up, let's zoom out one last time just to understand the massive economic scale of this tax-only system we've been talking about. $5.8 billion. That's the net contribution to the U.S. economy from tax returns that included an ITIN filer in 2019 alone. This isn't just about a few people filing taxes. It's a system that channels billions in revenue to federal, state, and local governments every single year.
And this leaves us with a pretty powerful question to chew on. We have a system that formally includes millions of people as taxpayers, right? Acknowledging their multi-billion-dollar economic impact. And yet, that system exists completely separate from the one that authorizes work. It's a fundamental tension at the very heart of U.S. policy. And it makes you wonder, what does it mean to be a taxpayer but not a worker in the eyes of the law? Thanks for joining us.